Hey everybody, this is Professor Snart. I'm just welcoming you to our English 1102 class. Sorry, just getting myself situated here. I do a number of these video things throughout the term. They're very informal. They might reiterate certain concepts or ideas that we're covering within the course itself, but they're largely just kind of checking in, just putting a face to a name, trying to humanize the class a little bit, which is really a primary goal that I've got that will hopefully be reflected in a lot of what we actually do in the class, but I really do want to make it feel like a class that you're in, where you're supported by me, by the structure of the course itself. It's easy to navigate, it's relatively clear in terms of what's going on, what's expected of you. And then you have the opportunity to interact on a fairly regular basis with classmates. So while we don't have the face-to-face component that you would have in a traditional classroom setting, we have just about everything else that we could, I don't want to say duplicate exactly, but build into a class like this, so you feel like you're, again, kind of engaged with a class that's going on, not just with content that's static out there and I'm off in the distance somewhere and it's just you individually working kind of on your own. So I hope it doesn't feel like that. And part of the motivation for this video is A, to welcome you, but B, to really foreground the kind of human aspect of our online class. Anyway, I'll keep this relatively brief. As we get underway here, a couple things to highlight right off the bat. Our course is 8-week instead of the usual 16-week, so everything is compressed, kind of half the time, which means double the time commitment on your part, at least for our 8 weeks here. So be sure, as I mentioned, I think in the orientation video that you will watch or maybe have already watched, be sure you really budget time in a conscious way to be doing the work for the course, whether it's reading, writing, working with material, in each of the units that we're going through, whatever it happens to be. Don't let it become something that because we have the flexibility of not having to meet at like 10 to 10:50 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that you don't budget time for, or you just sort of goes to the end of the to-do list, or you think, well, I'll kind of piece it together here when I have like 5 minutes and a couple minutes and 15 minutes. The online format is flexible, but don't let that sort of take advantage of you. Use it to your advantage. Okay, so to get rolling then, in terms of our course, in addition to really thinking about budgeting your time, the place you want to start is clearly the orientation section, which I'm just looking at here and I'm going to click myself into. So there's a video here that I want you to watch. It, again, sort of welcomes you to the class, but also walks you through really the structure of our course. So part and parcel of being successful, really in any class, but particularly online, is having a good sense of being kind of oriented. Again, what's expected of you, due dates, how is the work kind of structured or laid out within the class. So before you actually start the work, it's really important to step back a little bit and see the forest for the trees, if you want to say, put it that way. Make sure you get that big picture view, not of the content, but just of the course organization. So if you need to get in touch with me, do you know where to find my email? If you need to look at due dates, where do you go for that? Grading information, kinds of assignments we do, all that sort of stuff. Again, I've made a real effort to make it transparent, obvious, so it's like right there in front of you. But, this is maybe laid out differently than other courses you've taken. Maybe this is your first online course, whatever the case might be. So if you're confused, get in touch with me and we can certainly work through that together. We get right into our work for the course then, as far as our first due date coming up relatively quickly. Again, keep in mind that everything's compressed in our 8-week format, so we turn around from one unit to the next pretty quickly in most cases. But you'll also notice that the first unit has you doing some introductory things. It's called the Introductions unit. And it's a good example of a unit where items are laid out sometimes right there immediately, but also sometimes within folders. Again, I think it's fairly simple to navigate. The only thing you want to be conscious of is if you're within a folder doing the work for that folder and you think, okay, I've completed that work, be sure to back out to the main page for the unit to make sure that there's not other folders or other work to do. So just be conscious of kind of like where you are navigation-wise within the course. The first unit, again, pretty fun in terms of just introducing yourself in a couple of different formats to the class, to me. So again, we have that sense of kind of community as we begin our work in English 1102. The other thing then before I close for today is in addition to setting yourself up for success, or as part of setting yourself up for success, and really as part of time management, my recommendation is going to be to check into Blackboard pretty much every single day. Make it a regular part of your routine. That's not to say that there's going to be new stuff there, or that you're going to have to work for hours every single day, but checking in and sort of staying connected to the course on a really regular basis, so you do know if there's new stuff or a new announcement or a new reminder or whatever the case might be. You want to be apprised of that more or less immediately. So I'm going to recommend that you check in every day, which sounds a little bit onerous, like, oh, that's going to take so much time. But just keep in mind that it's like checking email or any other kind of maybe social media that you might be part of. Checking in can take 5 minutes. And really you're just checking to see, am I on track for the work that I'm supposed to be doing? Is there anything new? Are there reminders that I should be aware of? And if that's all good, then that's your 5-minute check-in. You really don't have to invest hours and hours every time you log into Blackboard for this course. The other thing that I guess is related to that is that it's best and maybe required for some units that we do, that you can't block, sort of the opposite of the quick check-in, you can't block just a huge afternoon one day a week to do everything online. Our course really doesn't unfold that way, and you can imagine how, you know, if you tried to do that, it would make interacting with classmates really difficult because, you know, you need to be sort of engaged with the class on an ongoing basis. Okay, so Unit 1 is upon us. Relatively straightforward, I hope. If you have any questions or concerns or anything, be in touch with me. Make sure you get the textbook, obviously. Watch the orientation video. Do some clicking around yourself before you start doing the work for the course. Again, make yourself or let yourself feel comfortable with the structure, the layout, the navigation, and all that kind of stuff. The requirements or the grading structure, I guess is what I'm saying. The expectations was the word I'm looking for. Feel comfortable that you understand that before jumping in to the work of the course. Again, if you're confused or nervous or whatever, be in touch with me. I'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, I'll talk to you soon.